What do you think makes a good website in 2026?
I think that we still need to be very human. Websites are a feeling. A website is someone's corner of the internet, and you're getting to know that company, that person, whether or not you want to buy from them. That connection people are really, really looking for. About a month before my 20th birthday, so I was 19 still, I said to my mum, I really want to leave the illustration and go and design websites. And she said to me, why would anyone use a website? It was back in the times when no one really knew what a website was. And I was like, Mum, they're the future, come on. As she was quite progressive in that world, she was like, okay, that's going to be your education. If you're not going to go to uni, that's going to be your education. And so basically it was. I was a freelancer for a very long time, 22 years, I guess. And it was just before COVID that I had settled down here in France. I was looking for just a little bit more in life. And I decided that I wanted to get better at public speaking, get better at putting myself out there, and build this team. You should see our team meetups. Everyone gets really passionate. We get really excited about stuff. They last far too long. I kind of ended up doing what I was meant to do.
What does your mum think now of this futuristic thing that you're working in? To set the scene for everybody listening and or watching, can you just paint a little bit of a picture of who you are and what you're currently up to in your professional world?
Currently, yes. So Kelly Druitt, we are building websites and doing optimization online, so helping people in the digital space. And currently, I have just employed my third employee, and so we've got a media person now, an admin person who is moving into editorial, and we have a website designer. So I'm leading a team of 3. I like to say 4 because I have to kind of lead myself as well. So yeah.
And what you say, so you've got a media person and an editorial person. Talk me through what those roles mean to you, because I think lots of people listening will go, well, if you make websites, surely you're a web designer or a developer. What does a media person and an editorial person look like?
That's the funny thing. There is so much to a website that I think people don't understand. So when I first started to employ people, I employed Debs, and she was coming out of another role. She didn't know much about the online world at all. And I needed someone to train up to do images and graphics and things like that. So like text overlays onto photos, graphics, and then editing video as well, which I was struggling with, all the things that a small business person has to do and struggles with the time. So I trained her up. She was really good at video already because she's really into movies. So she was really into that side anyway. So that was an absolute bonus. And then I trained her up in Photoshop, and she's now using Affinity. But she now does all the resizing of photographs and stuff like that. So making them smaller for a website, optimized so that they download nice and quickly. So that's the media side. And newsletters as well. So helpful for my first person.
Yeah. And then editorial.
So we write websites as well as design. And that is very much on the optimization side of a website, because without content, you haven't really got a lot to go on. You need content to be able to rank well, for AI to understand that you exist, that you are part of the digital world. So it's all content. So she will do blog posts, service pages, things like that. But we're also getting her down to scripting and things as well. Stevie's actually a comedian, which I love. And
That's
so is
cool.
Debs. I don't know why I just employ comedians. So they're both very creative and they work really well together. So these are the first 2 that I employed. And it's just worked really, really well. Stevie started as an admin and then has just naturally grown into editorial.
And when you say they write scripts, is that scripts for videos, or is there another secret web design
I would love
definition?
to have a secret about that. I do believe websites should be creative, but no, it's video scripting. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Um, Videos are so powerful online, and they're really good for helping people to get to know you. You know yourself. You do a lot of videos, um, and so. But I always find that I'm not very good at writing the original script. I'm very dull. So Stevie's quite imaginative in that way. It's great.
That's really cool. I love that phrase you use, we write websites. That's a very cool phrase. I've never heard that before. I think people think of websites as just a couple of home pages and a few blog posts that you chuck up, and they don't always think about the copy that you need and the constant update of
Mm.
the pages, the copy, the blog posts, and everything else that goes into it.
For us, they are a constantly evolving thing. It's living, it's breathing, it's got to change with the company as well. And I know from my growth journey with the business, at one point you're talking in one voice and you're a freelancer, and then the next minute you've grown and you are now talking in a completely different voice as the CEO of a company, as a leader, or you're the team are talking on their own behalves. So yeah, they grow, and then to be able to rank well or to be found online, you need that content to explain your service or your product super well, like so simplistic that people will understand and be able to find you. So
Mm. Mm.
a lot to a website.
Now, as a business owner, I feel like you're quite unique because from the conversation we had offline, you started your business when you were 19, so like fresh out of school, and you've been doing it ever since.
Yes.
Most people don't find the thing they want to do at 19, and the majority of people definitely don't start a business doing that thing either. How did you, I guess, realize that web design was something that you wanted to do? And can you kind of paint a picture of when this was in the lifespan of the internet?
Oh gosh, yeah. So it was back in the times when no one really knew what a website was. So I'll explain. I was straight out of school. I made it, did okay in my GCSEs, and I wanted to carry on in education. I got into sixth form. I chose art, geography, and computer studies. But computer studies, I already knew the first couple of months, I already knew the things that they were teaching us because my mum had already taught me on computers. So, love my mum. She had already bought a computer. She was a secretary originally, and she realised that computers were the next big thing. She got one in the house, and we were allowed to play on it. And she was, teaching us how to type and programs and stuff like that. So, when I realised that actually I was a little bit further ahead than most people in the computer skills, I ended up leaving sixth form because I wasn't enjoying the geography either, which is a real shame. So I went into illustration, and loved the illustration, but I was again a little bit ahead of the curve because I knew how to use computers. In the village that I grew up in the Cotswolds, there was a small business, and they were just launching a web design company. And when you were selling websites in those days, you were selling them to really big corporates. It wasn't like the little people, like little businesses like us. And so they were on a mission to do that, which is great. I met them and I said to my mum, I really want to leave the illustration and go and design websites. And she said to me, why would anyone use a website? And I was like, Mum, they're the future. Come on. As she was quite progressive in that world, she was like, okay, that's going to be your education. If you're not going to go to uni, that's going to be your education. And so basically it was, yeah. So for the next 2 years, or 1.5 years, something like that, I learned with them. And that's what I did. Absolutely just loved it. And if you think about it, it did involve the art, the computers, and in a way the geography, I like to say, because it opened up the whole world. So yeah, I kind of ended up doing what I was meant to do, and I just loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I think back then, I guess web design was very technical, if I'm not mistaken. And I guess to get the artistic side in probably took a lot of development work, I imagine.
Exactly. So we were just coming out of, the only HTML we had to code completely. So I know HTML and I use that a lot, but we did have programs with interfaces that would be able to develop websites. And so the first one I ever used was called Hot Metal. And that really ages me because no one knows what it is. But yeah, cleverly called Hot Metal HTML. And I remember using frames. And if anyone, I don't know if you're not old enough to remember.
No, I've never come across frames.
Yeah. So we used to, back in the day, there would be like a navigation on the left-hand side, and that would be its own page. And then at the top, the header, that would be its own page. And then the center bit. And so then you'd build it all up together like that, and things would move independently. But what you started to find was that search engines were ranking those individual pages. So people would come off the search engines and onto like a navigation bar, which was, not good in the end. So it just had to like move and develop into, what it is now, which is one page per. And then you pull in the navigation.
Yeah. Do you remember the first website you worked on, or do you remember the industry that it was in?
It's funny that, because someone did ask me the other day, and I remember the design of the website. I think they were called Resource or something like that. Like literally they were able to reserve the domain resource.com it was something really simple like that. And I remember the logo, but I don't remember what they do. And
Well,
sorry.
No, that's good. And so you say you went there just after sixth form, so you must have been, what, 16, 17?
Well, I had the illustration job in the middle, yeah.
Yes. When did you then transition to starting out on your own? When did you kind of make the point of going, I think I can do this for myself?
I wasn't being paid very much, and I was sort of being promised to be paid quite a lot. And obviously it was a small business, which I understand at the time, but it just went on a bit too long. So I decided that I could support myself better on my own and actually just make a bit more money. So it was about a month before my 20th birthday. So I was 19 still. And my mum lent me her computer. So I worked on her computer for 2 months. I think it was 3 months or something like that, once I'd left the company, and I earned enough money to buy my own computer. In that time, I was so proud of this computer that I earned the money to buy. And I had a really good mentor at the time as well, called Jamie Abdi Collins, who also supported me and gave me 2 days work a week. So I was well supported by him. And then I did 3 days where I went off and sold my own websites and did a lot in the Cotswolds.
What was your first computer? Do you remember?
No, I'm probably not that geeky, as in, I wouldn't remember the model or anything.
Was it a Windows, a Mac?
Oh, it was Windows, yeah.
Windows.
So I decided to go with Windows because I was working on a Mac when I was doing the illustration, but I actually decided on Windows because most of my clients were working on Windows, and it helped me to set up their email and understand what they were going through when they were looking at programs and stuff like that. And obviously Macs were really expensive in those days as well. So
yeah. And so, nowadays you can build a website pretty quickly, and we can get into AI, which, potentially you can build one in minutes according to the adverts, but we can get onto that. But when you started, what was the typical timeline for building a website? I mean, I know that's how long's a piece of string, but a kind of standard website for a company is how much time would that have taken per client?
It's funny because I guess there's stages, isn't there? So really when you're when you're designing the site and you're getting creative with it and you're figuring out where things should go and how it all fits with the logo and what the colors are and things like that, that is the bulk of the time. And that does take, I want to say, like 2 weeks, but it's not like over 2 weeks. You've got to keep coming back to it and looking at it and seeing if you like it and things like that. So I always give myself that amount of time. I've said before, it's a bit like a painting where you're like, oh, that doesn't look right. I need to shift that. And it's the same digitally. You're kind of just moving stuff around to make sure it looks good. So you've got that bulk of time to start with. And then you've send the proof over, you're asking, whether or not the client actually likes it. And then you've got to fill it all in. So it's back in those days, it was obviously months and months. But, nowadays it's a bit quicker. So.
And the first year being out on your own, running a business, how did you find that? What did you learn from that experience?
That's such a good question. I don't think I realized how privileged I was at the time, obviously just being white. But I was in a male-dominated industry. And I don't even think that I had that much recognition that I was like, oh my God, I might fail, I'm a woman. I just went and did it. And that was probably a reflection on my mum's confidence in me and my dad's confidence in me. Don't forget my dad. It's just that my mum was very tech. So I say tech. Yeah, she was. She was. So yes, it felt scary, but I had a lot of support. I think someone that didn't have the support that I had would find it a lot more difficult. Yeah.
Did you feel you needed to feel like you had that support behind you? Like if you didn't have that, do you think you would have just carried on and gone anyway? Because I think some people need that support system because running a business is hard and it takes quite a lot out of you sometimes. And some people need the support system and some people don't. And then I think there's probably a few people in between. Like, did you feel you needed that
I guess
sort of behind you?
We are all different, aren't we? But
yeah,
as you know, James, running a business is really tough. It's quite lonely as well because you're not in an office meeting people and, it's literally client or not. It's not that kind of level of friendship or anything like that. Although that's lesser these days.
Yeah.
Back in those days, it was very much suit and client rather than friends. But yes, it's I've forgotten the question now. I've just gone off on one.
Did you feel you needed a
the
support system behind you when you started?
It helped very much.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Thinking of it like a university as well was probably a really good attitude at the time, and understanding that I had to explore the world and then the world of business, small business, and understand that I was developing in the role as I was in the role, which is what we do again as small business owners. But yes, being able to, for example, not pay rent for a time when I was actually just, managing the business and figuring stuff out was huge bonus. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
It sounds very similar actually to my parents because I went to uni and I did all of that, but then I decided that I wanted to try and start a video company and I was living at home and my parents were like, okay, fine, well, you've studied this at university, like, let's just see how it goes. I wasn't paying rent, so I didn't have any overheads really. I think I was really proud of myself that my business cost like £50 a month to run,
Yeah,
and I was
exactly.
making like 3,000 a month, and I thought I was super rich. So yeah, I'd never thought about it that way, but actually I guess I was quite privileged as well, in that I had that
Absolutely.
safety net. I didn't have to find the money for
Mm.
rent, and I had that blanket behind me just in case I fell down or I had a bad month or whatever it is. I think that's probably quite a powerful thing to take into your mindset when you're working on a difficult project or you've got a tough client. You know that if it falls down, you've still got
Yeah,
that safety net behind you.
the world's not going to blow up. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why we as privileged people, I think
Mm,
we just, need to understand and appreciate that what we've got.
mm,
I definitely do.
mm,
Yeah. Leading me on to what we want to do with KD Web is upskilling people that haven't got those privileges. And because the thing that really helped me back in those days was obviously my mum, even doing something so basic as to helping me learn to type, and the access to the computer that I had um, put me ahead of the curve a bit in those days, and made me employable.
mm.
So yeah, if we could help to upskill some people that haven't got those opportunities, I would love to be able to do that.
And what does that look like to you at the moment?
Mm. Well, I'm very aware that there are many teenagers out there that haven't got access to computers, or if they have, they might have only one in the family or something like that, so they haven't got access to them all the time. Um, and then just being able to spend the time on a computer and learn on it, just to see if they actually like the digital world and that's maybe what they want their career to be.
Hmm.
And then therefore, once that's done, um, well, as in they'll need access to computers, and we know. Uh, why have I forgotten the name? TerraGuard.
Yeah.
It's used to be Green Machine. Um, they will supply computers to people that don't have access to them. So I'm feeling like, hitting a few people up, calling a few favors in, and just making sure that some people have access to computers, and I'll see if I can actually upskill the person over the net.
Mm.
Um, I've done it before a couple of times, and it works quite well. So just seeing where their career might end up going if they get the time on a computer.
And what would you say for someone that is a teenager? What would you say are the most useful technical skills, computer technical skills to learn now? Because AI is kind of throwing everything up in the air. And I feel like a lot of people kind of, myself included, almost don't quite know what to do, because you go off down one route 1 week and then 2 weeks later, that's changed and there's another tool that kind of does that better. Like what's a good technical skill to learn now? Is coding and learning to read code and write code, is that useful now?
That's a funny thing. Yeah, I mean, co- code. My husband is a coder. That's what he has done his whole life. He would. I'm going to just take the words out of his mouth. Basically, he would basically. I'm going to compare it to writing as well. So editorial. So you need to have the skills, the basic skills to be able to write, same with coding, to understand it, to check that it's not
Hmm.
incorrect. So even if you're asking AI to code something for you and it works, it could break in, a couple of months because maybe something is missing, and then therefore upgrades and or it's not working on a certain server or something like that. So you need to know the basics of any language, any code,
Hmm.
English language, whatever it is, to be able to modify and edit, I guess. What do you think, James?
I I think I think that's correct. I think that's right. I think there's this term that's being thrown around of being the conductor of AI and being someone that knows how to, I guess, be the puppet master of all of these tools. And if you're someone who is just doing the work, like you're a technician, maybe that's where you're slightly more at risk. But if you can learn how to be the conductor of everything, that's where I think the future is.
Yeah.
And I think the same in terms of video production and content in general. You can ask AI to write a script or create an image or create a video, but you need the creativity and the idea to tell it what you want it to create. And I think that's why there's a lot of conversation around AI slop and AI can't create meaningful images and they all look the same. And I think that's true if you're just asking it to create something really generic. But if you've got something in your mind that you can prompt it with, by default, you're going to create something different because it's your interpretation of something that's going via a computer as opposed to you moving around After Effects or you picking up a pen or a paintbrush or whatever. So I think I'm on the same page as you that I think creativity and knowing how to check AI's work, whether that's coding or creativity or whatever it might be, I think that still needs to remain, because otherwise we are kind of just saying to AI, just take over every aspect of our lives and we have no more control over that anymore.
It sort of circles back to you asking me how long it took to, build a website or whatever it is, or how many pieces there are to a website. And it's the same now with AI as it was back in those days, because if you don't know all those things, or you don't understand how that might work, or how a human might look at that, or how a search engine might end up deciphering that piece of code, it's not going to be effective. So you can say to AI, right, build me a website that looks like this, or you can, I love that, orchestrate it and really say, I want this to be in there, I want the metadata and I want the coding to be clean and I want the navigation to move smoothly. But it would be a lot of instruction and you would have to have a lot of knowledge to be able to actually instruct AI to do it properly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited for young people coming through, because although it's scary and almost I'm a little bit relieved that I'm at the older end of, having to deal with AI and things. I say it's scary. I don't find it scary. If you think when WordPress came out, for example, and suddenly everyone went, oh, we can build our own websites. They tried and then no one could, because obviously it's still got to have some sort of development behind it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, sort of going right back to your question at the beginning, what technical skills should a young person have now? I feel like it's curiosity is the key to it all. So to make sure that you're understanding not only the tech, but you're also understanding what humans want from the tech and what the visitor would want or what the user would want.
Yeah, I think it's almost working from the end outcome backwards, which is essentially what any creative person does, whether you're building a website or whether you're making a film. With the film, although it comes into life in different ways, you have the script. And if you're then going into how am I going to make the script is kind of the end product. It's just not visualized yet. And then you have to figure out how and what you want to do. And I guess it's the same with web design. You kind of know from the brief from the client and maybe some mock-ups that you've done, this is what it's going to look like, or this is how it's going to function. And then you need to figure out what tools do we have available to do that? And what else do I need to do to kind of piece all these different things together? And that's certainly something that I find exciting about AI. It's how can I pull this tool and that tool together to create this output that I have in my head that tool on its own can't do, but with these put together, I can make that happen and it can do it reasonably quickly. And it's 98% of what I had in my head.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, even with the skills on, I don't know, video editing or something like that, you would probably still, even if you're doing it yourself, only be able to get it to like 98% of what is actually in your head because, you know, you get, there's friction. But yeah, I think it's pulling all those things together.
Mm.
I'm excited for it. Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's fun to see.
And if I think about it, I think a lot of people are expecting AI to be perfect. And if it doesn't do something perfectly, then it's not working. But if you think about anything, whether it's a creative project or even a negotiation in a business, the final outcome probably isn't 100% perfect. Like if you go into a negotiation with a client for whatever it might be, the likely outcome is both of you have given a little bit. There's a little bit of give and take. So it's probably not 100% what you want or 100% what they want. It's probably more like you're both getting 90% and there's a little bit of give in the middle. So it's not 100% the perfect outcome. And in the same that any creative project, the final output often isn't 100% what you originally thought it was going to be, because there is going to be a technical issue that comes up, or there's going to be a more creative way of doing something, or you change your mind ever so slightly halfway through the process.
Yeah, or the client does, or
the client does. Yeah.
The audience changes or something like that. But there's a thing in leadership which they say when you outsource a project or when you give a project to someone else, it's always going to be 80% of what you had in mind. And it's not like any of us aren't perfectionists, but 80%, you know, of what you could do yourself is good enough because it's got to keep rolling. And yes, we strive for perfection, but it's human.
You said something earlier that you feel like you're on the older side of things, which I would totally disagree with, but I'll use your wording. On the older side of things, you have to deal with AI. It's something new. It's something that's disrupting the way that you know how to do it, or you've always done it. Talk to me a little bit about the importance of, or whether you feel it's important to keep up with technology, because there are lots of people who are running businesses or are in roles. They've done them for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and it's always been done in this way. And they kind of don't want to deal with new technology, and they don't see how or if it's going to disrupt them. What's your kind of mindset around keeping on top of things, whether you like it or not?
Love this, because it's very much what I've done my whole career, which you have to do in web design. And I think probably, film as well, video, anything that is in the technical world, you have to keep on top of stuff and just keep looking at what is coming next. Now, I don't see myself as an early adopter, because it's something that if you adopt things too early, you find they fail quite quickly. You know, I won't mention ChatGPT, which everyone's going on about at the moment. But so if you adopt too quickly and too early, and you put these processes into your business maybe too fast, it's bound to fail. So it's a little bit of like exploring, figuring out what is working best, making sure that something is solid and usable before you actually start pushing it out to work on client projects and things. But having said that, I love fiddling around with like the tools and things like that. So I'm quite happy to go and explore and investigate. And then I think the support from our community for one, James, is just incredible, where someone will just pipe up and say, oh, there's a new tool here. Do you want to go and check this out? Because it's a good one. So it's nice to have a community of small business owners around as well.
Do you think AI is still at that point in time where it's a little bit like the Wild West, and it's likely that if you bring something in, it's going to fail or not quite do what you want it to do? Do you feel like we're still in that stage with AI as it is right now?
I would say some of the tools are stronger than others, more solid. But yes, if you're going to just, I don't know, almost pay over the odds or bring it too much, rely on it too much, it's probably going to fail. You've got to be a bit careful. So, but there are tools that are already robust that you would be able to use, that we use in everyday work. So yeah, it's just monitoring it, isn't it? And making sure that it's all human centric, which is what we do anyway, because everything that we do, we check to make sure it has a human element, because that's who you're trying to connect to.
It's really interesting. I feel like there's a bit of an exodus from ChatGPT at the moment over to Claude. And I'm certainly one of those people that has moved across to Claude. It's interesting how, ChatGPT was the golden child at first. And now I think people have maybe realized that it doesn't quite do all of the things that they hoped it would do. And Claude seems to be more business task and process orientated. It's interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it's a really good learning curve, actually. The fact that humans don't want to be agreed with all the time. We want to be challenged. We want to be understood and then maybe pushed a little bit further, rather than having ChatGPT that is always agreeing with the thing that you're trying to do, and maybe not pushing enough. So
I want to talk a little bit about SEO. AEO, I think is the right terminology now. And I know there's a couple of other variations of essentially AI search, basically.
Yeah.
What is it? What is AI search, and how does it differ from SEO? Or are they kind of the same thing, just the platforms that are pulling from the information are different?
Yeah, I mean, it's how, I guess ultimately, in the end, it's how the user, us, human, would actually find the information. So obviously on AI, the item, the search, the result is thrown into your face quite quickly, and you don't have to go through trawling the search engines anymore, which is brilliant. So it's all put together for you. But the search engines, the AI will still cite the websites, so you can still get well branded on AI and still noticed on AI in a similar way to the search engines, how the search engines used to do it, or actually do it now. So there's a difference between how the user receives the information, the result, but the way it's done is still pretty similar, because it's still about getting content and information over and out there. Like, if I wasn't talking to you today, James, I wouldn't be here. No one listening would know who I was. You have to put yourself out. You have to produce that content. You have to show up. You have to, get in front of AI. You have to get in front of the search engines. And I think at some point they're like, just merge.
And
Anyway.
merge. And AI, as far as I can tell, AI is summarizing a website's content as opposed to giving you a particular page result like you would get in Google or whatever. Well, I guess Google is the main search engine. Is that the case? Is it kind of reading your entire website in one go and then summarizing the full contents? I know it will show its work. You can ask it to show its sources, and then it does give you particular pages. How does that all work as far as you're
I don't
aware?
know how they're actually doing it, whether
No.
they take the whole site or whether or not, because when you're looking at search engine optimization, if you've got like 5 different services, we would push, your 5 different services, as in would target each page into that result, into that key phrase or multiple key phrases. So when AI is finding the result and they're looking on search engines as well, do they just crawl that one page? Search engines will crawl like the whole website, but for one result, they just want to find the information on that one page. So I want to assume it's going to do like the one page, but it will have already crawled the whole site, so it knows how to organize that information.
And I guess when you were I guess it probably would have been like midway through your career. I guess at some point Google brought in pay-per-click and AdWords. So I'm guessing up until that point, SEO was the way on Google to be found, and then they bring in pay-per-click and you can bid on words and terminology. Do you feel like AI will probably go that way again? I know there's been news articles talking about OpenAI starting to experiment with paid advertising within ChatGPT. Is that something that is likely to happen, do you think?
Oh, yes. It's always about money, isn't it? Monetizing everything. So, but I feel like we know what's going to happen is basically it's going to be so specific to your particular needs, which is really cool. Like, it knows, I guess, how much money you would spend on a shirt, James, and, what names you're into, how it would fit you. So therefore it will, if you decide you want to buy a new shirt, AI is going to be able to specifically show you the kind of shirts that you would like and you would be able to afford. So it's time saving, isn't it? Which, really that's what the search engines were for to start with. Rather than going to your encyclopedia. I remember those days. You went to a search engine, and AI is going to save us all that time from bothering to search. So we're still going to have to put a lot of hard work into appearing in that result. Like, I've got the shirt that you want. I know it's quality enough for you, James. I know it's in your price range. I know it's the right color. How do I show the search engines and AI to put it in front of you?
And as of right now, is the strategy still kind of the same then? It's all about write quality content, keep your website updated, maybe make some YouTube videos, because I guess Google has Gemini, which I guess is being trained off of YouTube partly. Is the strategy, is that still kind of I know there's loads of tiny nuances within it, but does it ultimately boil down to make quality content that's helpful?
Yeah, it's making quality content, but you've also got to remember the markup on a website. And that is basically little snippets of code, and you're basically showing AI crawlers and search engine crawlers that this particular thing is what it's looking for. So it's markup called schema markup, and you're showing I don't know, the color or the price range or I mean, we could go right down to, like, we're talking about shirts quality and things like that. So it's about the markup that's on the website as well as the content that's on the website. So you couldn't, the two work really well together. You can't just sort of whack a product on a one-page website and expect that to rank well. It's got to have lots of content showing that you are a working, operable business, but also have the right code and stuff in there as well. There's also frequently asked questions that we pop onto web pages these days too. It's always been a thing, but everyone's getting quite excited about it now because of AI. It shows up on AI, but basically they're just questions that humans ask. And if you think about the multiple questions that people ask every day on the net, you could rank quite well for many of those questions. Yeah. So it's all about humans.
Which leads me into another question, which is it okay to let AI write your blog posts?
So what will happen if AI writes your blog post is you're basically scraping other websites.
Yeah.
So curating content with AI is a really good way of, the start of your process, because you can actually just find out little bits of information that you might want, but then you need to put it into your own words, because otherwise you won't rank well, because you're basically duping content, and search engines can understand that. And whether or not AI cares at the moment, we don't quite know, but it will have to have some sort of ethical boundaries. So, I can see all the things that you're supposed to be doing for search will have to be done for AI, because otherwise it just ends up being a massive quagmire. There has to be rules. You can't just take information and pop it onto your own website, because everyone could do it. There could be millions of pages of the same content then. So what is the point?
Yeah. There's this theory. It has a proper name, but I can't quite remember it. But I know it was mentioned in the Diary of a CEO, which was, there's this theory and this worry that the internet could essentially die, because if there's too much content created by AI, then the AI is learning on AI content. And eventually you get to a point where you don't know what information is true or not, because it's just been AI on AI on AI. And I guess it's a little bit like Chinese whispers. The information changes and gets manipulated. And then we get to a point where you can't trust anything that you read or see. It's a very doomsday kind of thought process, but
that's why I actually have a trust in Google, for example. And obviously, Google, they're not all good, but the reason that they stopped people from duplicating content was exactly this reason. So therefore, there has to be some sort of filter on AI content. Otherwise, like you say, the internet goes, up the swanny, if you want to use that phrase. But, it's just not going to be a place that humans want to be. So therefore, there's got to be some sort of, barrier to it all. And one of the things is that content won't rank if you're just copying it off other pages, or it sounds AI. And you can check things like that. So,
what do you think makes a good website in 2026?
I think that we still need to be very human. So that connection people are really, really looking for. So yes, it's about being informative, but it is also about invoking some sort of feeling, which I have to give the credit to our new web designer, Farron, for that, because he said to me, just as I'd employed him, he said, websites are a feeling. And I really loved that
Mm-hmm.
because, yes, okay, you can sit on AI all day and you can get, streams and streams of text, or, just whereas a website is someone's corner of the internet and you're getting to know that company, that person, whether or not you want to buy from them. Exactly like a search engine, if AI throws up a result, are you going to buy that shirt from that particular company? Do you trust them? Are you going to lose your £100 on buying that shirt because you don't know that if you trust that company yet? Whereas a website is showing that trust, or that the whole ball of what we do as optimization is social media as well. So you're seeing the videos, you're trusting that person, you know that they're real, you know they've been around for 5 years, and therefore you are more likely to spend your money with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very much about connection with human.
Mm. Can you over engineer a website, or over jazz up your website? Because there are some websites that are amazing to look at. They're super dynamic. You scroll down and there's stuff going on all over the place. I guess Apple's probably quite a good example when you scroll down the pages. It looks great and it's kind of fun to fiddle around with, certainly on the Apple website, because I know who they are. Is that good for the user, having something that's that jazzy?
I love that word, jazzy. If you're Apple, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
If you're Banksy, if you have a look at the Banksy website, he's got nothing on there that's anything to do with search engines, or you can do what you want because you are well known, you're a designer, you're not looking for this trust build.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we're doing with the optimization. So when you have lots of jazz on your website, it slows the website down. So if you think the amount of people that do end up on a train and they've got bad internet, or I don't know, I'm up a mountain, I often have bad internet, and you're providing a website that doesn't give information, but just, I don't know, fun things, that doesn't give results, doesn't help the user, you're causing friction, and then therefore they're not going to be able to find and buy your product. And often, if it's not loading quickly, they're just going to disappear off anyway. So yeah, less jazz. That sounds so sad though, but
But I guess at some point it has to be practical, doesn't it? And a website for most people is designed to make money in some form or another, whether you're selling a service or it's e-commerce, or you're trying to promote an art project that you're doing, or whatever it might be. Ultimately, it's about either it's about making money or it's about getting someone to do something.
there is a beautiful balance between your audience and what they want, and then the tech or the design of the website. So, for example, a photographer will want to have much bigger images to really show off the photographs, and that's because that's exactly what they do. And his audience, that person's audience, will also, want to see the photos, etc. But then you might have, I don't know, shoe shopping, and the images need to download really, really fast because you've got multiple different images and things like that. So it's completely about the audience again. And I think if we just keep thinking to ourselves, it's not really about AI, it's not really about search, whatever happens, it's actually about the person that's going to buy the product. And that's a human.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I want to talk a little bit about the team that you're building. And I also want to talk a little bit about why you're building it now. Because I know you waited a while to build a team. You stayed as you for a while. And I'd love to hear your experience of being a solopreneur for a while, and what tipped you to decide to start building a team?
Ooh, I don't quite know the tipping point, but yeah, so I was a freelancer for a very long time, 22 years, I guess. So working on my own, I did a lot of traveling. So I wasn't ready to build a business at that point. And it was just before COVID that I had settled down here in France. I was looking for just a little bit more in life, in the business. And I decided that I wanted to get better at public speaking, get better at putting myself out there, and build this team. So as COVID started coming into the world, um, that's basically what I was doing in the build up. And then I had suddenly everyone else came online, and everyone was networking online because people weren't able to go to in-person things during COVID times. So it was quite cool for me because suddenly everyone was accessible to me and I was able to network again in the country that I'm from the UK, because my French probably isn't quite good enough to network. You can't quite get down to the deep, meaningful conversations. So yeah, the world opened up and everyone joined me online. I say that. And so it was really good to be able to start learning. I joined Mastermind 9, which is Pete and Sarah, who are fantastic. And I started really learning about leadership and how to actually run a business properly. And then that was the beginning of my journey. So
And for context, you live in France pretty much in or near the Alps, don't you?
I am in the
Yeah.
Alps, yes. I once said, as a 20-year-old, I want to live on the side of a mountain, and it was like one of those random pipe dreams that a 20-year-old says, because I liked snowboarding, and here I am. So,
So I guess to kind of go off on a slight tangent for a moment, there's the term digital nomad. I guess you were kind of living that digital nomad life
I always
for
say
a
I was the
while.
original digital
Yeah.
nomad. I don't think I actually was, but I was well, it was when now this is gonna age me as well. It was when Wi-Fi started coming all over the place, and you could get free Wi-Fi in cafes and all sorts. So you could literally. So before that, I would take my computer with me with my cables so I could plug into people's internet,
Mm-hmm.
and then walk into a cafe and it'd be like, "Do you mind if I plug into your router just for like 5 minutes so I can do my emails?" It's a really heavy computer and a really heavy cable as well. So it was really nice when Wi-Fi became, a lot more accessible, available everywhere. And that was when I first went traveling properly. And it was like long traveling rather than short stints.
And did you find you were still able to balance running your business and delivering for the clients whilst exploring wherever you were? Was that fairly easy for you?
It is a huge balance, and I think you have to love your job because you could be so distracted. But this is why I call it slow travel is, well, I did it on my own, and then my husband did it with me after I met him. Um, you need to have like 3 days work and like 1, 2 days exploring in any one place. If you move too quickly, you end up not being able to do your job because you're trying to look at things. So there's a definite balance. And it sounds idealistic, but sometimes it is really tough because you're in like a hot country or something like that, and it is just not comfortable to work, or there's a lot of noise and things like that. So that's why I was very much a freelancer in those days. It wasn't like I felt capable of building the business. It was something I, travel was a big part of my life. So I wanted to pursue that a lot before I settled down and built the business.
And I guess even before COVID, there were people that worked remotely, but it wasn't the thing. It wasn't widely talked about. So I guess, and I felt this when I had my first company, I felt the pressure in having to get a physical office. So I had a physical space of existence and then hire people to sit in that office. And I feel like it wasn't that long ago that that's the way the world thought and was. So I guess if you're traveling around, I guess, did you feel the pressure of, if I wanted to add people, I'm going to have to find a physical space?
Well, the traveling part it started 10 years before COVID. So it wasn't anything really to do with that kind of thing. But yeah, I guess with having a team, I'm really happy for them to be remote. I think it is quite difficult for a leader to have that trust in a team that is remote, because it is hard to know what they're doing. But I think as a leader, you need to have that trust, and you need to give them the autonomy to be able to make their own decisions. I want them to love their jobs. I want them to not feel like I'm breathing down their necks, and I want them to have the creativity. And I hope if I give them that, I give them a really good job and they love it and they're part of the business, they will help build the business with me. And it's worked so far. So
was that easy for you to do, to give them that autonomy and that trust? Because I guess your only experience of an office, I guess, was those kind of early jobs, and then you were off on your own. So you didn't have that, I guess, and this is me putting words in your mouth, but I guess you didn't have the experience of being in an office and this is the way it was. Did you find it easier because that's kind of what you know?
So it was difficult. As a freelancer, I had worked in quite a lot of offices because I ended up going and doing like day work and stuff like that. So I had worked in a few offices, but I don't think that's a good experience really, to know that people are going to do a job, when they're remote, when you can't see them. I had trust issues definitely to start with, and I can be completely open-handed with that. So with Debs, she was a person that I knew from for over a really long time period, and we'd actually gone traveling for a couple of weeks together as well, because she could see I was traveling back in the day, and she said, "Can I join you?" I was like, "Yes, absolutely." So we knew each other fairly well, but not like best friends, because people say don't employ your best friends and things like that, which I actually do agree with. But I trusted Debs right from the beginning, and she was a very solid, very, I suppose you could say, easy for me to be able to put my trust in her, because I knew her qualities, her values. So that first employee was great. Second employee actually didn't go so well, because I think that I had issues of not knowing what she was doing, and maybe misjudging how long she was taking to do something, or the output and things like that. So actually she ended up leaving. She was a freelancer and she didn't go through her whole probation because she didn't want to, I guess, be micromanaged. And I feel like that's what I might have been doing at that time. So I learned a lot from that. Now I see it, it probably wasn't the perfect person. But then a year later, Deborah and I employed Stevie. We made the decision together. We did it a lot out of personality and passion and curiosity, rather than actually how she was, how her career had gone before. And we've done the same with the website designer too. So I feel like it's all about like personality and then growing them into their roles. And Stevie has now just blossomed in her role. It's a year on, and I do reviews with her every month. She's incredibly happy. So I'm really, really excited to see where she's going to go. And Debs is the same. She's developed in her role incredibly too. And I hope to do that with the website designer as well. So yeah. I think it is about just making people feel valued, I suppose.
And are these payrolled employees? They're not freelancers, they're proper employees. What made you want to hire, I don't want to use the word proper employees, but salaried staff as opposed to freelancers? Because it does feel like, certainly at the moment, there's this trend of, I guess it goes back to this sort of being the conductor type person where you run the business and then you have freelancers, maybe some AI agents doing the work or doing some of the work for you, but you don't have that commitment to salary, HR, and all that kind of stuff. Why go employed over the freelance route?
I love that question because so many people said to me, "Oh, just do freelancers." Da, da, da. So there's a lot for me here. I wanted to mentor people. I think having a really good relationship with the person that's working for you and for them to love your business as never as much as you will, because that's just not a thing. I love my business as a place I'm taking it. I want to inspire them in the business and get them to help me build the business, which is what they're doing. They are, I'm not going to talk about the website designer at the moment because he's literally 2 months in. But the 2 first employees are just so dedicated. You should see our team meetups. Everyone gets really passionate. We get really excited about stuff. They last far too long. And it's just incredible to have people that really love it as much as I do and people that I can develop. So over the years that they've been working for me, I'm trying to figure out what they love about their job and where I can develop them, which is what they're doing. And that's why, basically, it's expensive, but they are completely invested. And I feel like we've got a really solid foundation. It's not like I need to go, that freelancer isn't able to do that job anymore. They've gone off and got another job. I need to conduct that freelancer and AI. And I don't think people know how hard it is to juggle, like to be that conductor, to make all those pieces work in a project. And when you've got people you can trust and take it away, that is it.
Yeah.
Would you ever employ?
Yeah. I mean, in my previous company, there were 6 of us. So, and I've been on my own for a little while now, but I'm getting the itch again now to start building up the team again, because I think the podcast, even though we're only 4 episodes in, I feel like I'm the bottleneck and I need people to take some of the load, certainly the editing load off of me. And I think for me, it's getting out of that mindset of, I can do this, but should I be doing it?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like my role is this and having the conversation and picking guests, but I don't really need to be involved in the editing or creating the short form content for social media. And a lot of that can be given to AI, but it still needs a human to just check what the AI is selecting as a good clip and doing a little bit of extra editing and finessing on top of it.
And I value freelancers so much. So if you can get someone who is going to be able to edit your videos on a freelance basis, and they save that time for you each week, and you can give them the work each week and make sure that they know that solid work is coming, so they save the time. They can get to know your business and they can edit it as you wish, definitely. But then there is also that amazing value of a person that you employ who says to you, why don't you do this instead? Or this bit isn't working. Or, and then they're really invested in the thing that you're trying to do because they understand your brain.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I loved before. I loved having the core team that I saw every day. And we were in an office because it was kind of pre-COVID, because COVID was the catalyst for that company dying. But I enjoyed being in the office. I enjoyed being in the office and knowing that I had this person that knew how to do that and this
Yeah.
person that knew how to do this. And I could just pick in a project and go, right, bit of that goes over there, bit of that goes over there. And I can step back and, carry on finding new
And those
clients
things
or
are being done and they're literally gonna,
exactly.
and those two people can talk and they can
Yeah.
get aligned and
Yeah.
it's really nice.
Yeah. How are you going about keeping that, I guess, human element and that collaboration element? Because when you're in an office, it's really easy for collaboration just to happen because you can both be in the kitchen waiting for the kettle to boil and you're talking about a project and you're doing that bit and I'm doing this bit. And an idea just sparks because you're just chatting naturally.
Yeah.
What are you doing to kind of keep that human, we're a team element and we're not four people sat at our own individual computers in other parts of the world or other parts of the country?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some people have said to me about employing internationally, which I do want to do eventually. But my reason for employing UK people now is because I think building up that team where we can eventually all meet in one place is going to
Hmm.
be really, really important. We can have team days, team weeks, whatever we can afford. And that will happen. I really see that being so positive for what we're trying to do. But at the moment, as a remote team, we do drum beats in the mornings. So we hop online, we all say what we're working on, and then the other one, someone will pick up and say, I'm working on that today as well. And I had a question, and then they can go and meet a little bit later. So the drum beats are very, very quick in the morning, but we all just get on the same page so we know what's happening. And then we have team time as well, which has been less successful so far because, basically I open up a room so that we can all sit and co-work. But the last couple of weeks, everyone's been really busy and like, no, I don't want to go online.
Hmm.
But I have a review every month with all of them. I try to make sure I know what's going on in their personal lives as well as online, because I think we've online in business. I think we have a due diligence to our staff to understand what's going on in their lives. So
Mm.
yeah, try and keep close.
And how have you navigated the switch from, I guess, being the freelancer that still does a lot of the technical, that still does all of the technical work, to someone who is now managing a team and has to be more of a leader and a business owner as opposed to the technician?
Well, going back to the conversation we had earlier, I think I did it at the right time.
Mm.
For one, I think confidence is a huge factor in deciding that you're going to become a business owner and a leader and actually be responsible for people's lives. Um, but that sounded a bit deep. It's not quite that bad, but yeah.
But you are though, you are, because
Yeah.
you've got to make sure you find the work
Yeah.
to pay people's salaries, to pay their mortgage, to put. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
It does. It go
Yeah.
and to make sure that they're happy in their work so that they're actually happy, in their lives and they enjoy their weekends and don't hate coming in on a Monday.
Mhm.
Yes, I've gone off on one and forgotten the question again.
I guess, how have you navigated, I guess, being a freelancer where all of the work and the technical stuff, and I guess the bit that made you fall in love with web design, how have you navigated transitioning into maybe being slightly less involved technically and
Mm.
creatively because you've got the people to do that now?
I think with technology and with programs, it's something I've always loved understanding, delving deep into, and whether or not it's web design or like a project management system like ClickUp. So we use ClickUp. I'm really enjoying delving into the whole project management side of stuff. I don't envisage myself being the project manager for much longer, she says.
Yeah.
But again, I want to understand the projects. I want to make sure the projects are set up well and we all know exactly what we're doing. So my brain on it now is perfect and it keeps me excited about, the project management, what's going on, the beat of each project, who's doing what, orchestrating like we were talking about. Conducting. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm project managing, and it feeds my need for the whole tech side. So, and then eventually, once I've mastered that, I'll give that to someone else so that they can then improve it and be better than me.
Do you ever miss getting just head down into some code and build something?
Yep. Yeah, I really do. The days when I wouldn't have to speak to a single person. Easter weekend was good for that. And yeah, delve down and just start doing a really, a design that you love, or even a written piece, because I do miss the writing as well now. Steve has taken over. So yeah, I definitely miss it. But what I'm seeing is, okay, will I be able to step away and then therefore be able to write a book that I've got about 4 in my head, or, so there's more for me to do now. And I see those guys as better than me. They're going to be way better than me. I mean, they are now. So
What do you envision for the business? How big do you want to take it?
I don't want to be huge, as in, I don't know how you feel as well. Your number of 6 is a really nice number. I've said max 10. And what I would do is take the systems and processes that we've developed and probably create another team, but do each. So they're focused on maybe an industry. So all the people in that team are really focused on entertainment, for example, and they all know, so much about the industry and things that's who you go to. And then I would, replicate that. And because I feel that each web developer, web team, should be so involved in one industry because they know exactly how things work. They know the audience. They know, that's what I'd like to do with it.
What does your mum think now of this futuristic thing that you're working in?
My mum's got dementia now, which is really sad. But before she was recognising that she was going into dementia and all of these things, I might have a little cry online.
That's okay.
She actually said to me, even with her memory loss as it is at the moment, she said, I actually wrote down what she said, and I'll try and remember some of it. She just said something about, how she thought I was incredible for being so progressive in what I've done, as in always moving forwards. So before it really took over with her, she had already recognised that I had 2 employees. She knew that I was building the business up, so she could really see that we're going somewhere. She's been an absolute inspiration. So
that's really special to know that's dementias are horrible, but it's really nice, really special to know that she has seen you start to build it into something even more than yourself. And I guess she's seen you go through all the different versions of the web and the internet and this. I remember you said to me, which I really liked when we spoke before, that your mum said something along the lines of, because she was kind of techie and she knew how to, type and whatever. She said, I don't understand it, but it seems like the future. And I just thought that was such a nice line to come from someone that, hadn't grown up with computers and had learnt a little bit, but didn't quite know what this was or what that meant.
Beautiful trust. Sorry, James. It's that beautiful trust as well, isn't it? Where when I speak to our website designer now, he's younger, he's looking into the latest tools and things like that. And
Mm,
it's almost like, you've got to say to this person, I trust you. If
mm-hmm,
you want to go down that road, go explore it.
mm,
Um, and yeah, there might be a little bit of time wasting. In our jobs, there's always been that bit of time wasting, hasn't there? Because you're
mm-hmm,
like, oh, I've
mm-hmm,
gone down the wrong path now.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, but you've got to have that um, explorative mind, I guess.
mm.
Mm,
I think creatives are always like that. They like to procrastinate a little bit and go off on little
yeah.
tangents. I do that all
I
the
think
time.
as a boss, you've kind of got to go, okay, let them do this because that's what I used to do. And it's the only way really to learn this new thing. You
Mm,
have to enjoy the process of kind of like, okay,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
um, what is this?
yeah,
How's it going to help? And that
mm-hmm,
again is when, if they're invested in the business, they're like, oh, Kelly, this is going to really help.
mm.
And I can encourage that.
What's kept you going all those years? Because as we've said, and as lots of business owners will say, it's hard running a business, whether it's just you or whether there's 1,000 people, inside the company. And I guess there's always peaks and troughs where sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it. And you're always going to have that with whatever you do for work and anything else in life. But what do you think's kept you going all those years and kept you interested in it?
Um, Flexibility,
Mm,
definitely. And um, the change. Yeah.
mm,
As in, so when we talk about flexibility, as you know, I loved travel. I did a lot of it. Yes, I basically work Monday to Friday, but if I decide to have a day off and I need to support my husband for the day or something like that, I can then work the Saturday. And I think
nice.
flexibility is just so important.
Mm,
And back when I started my career, that wasn't available. You didn't have flexi time and things like that. I think maybe my mum did actually, but her boss was quite progressive as well, and she was able to come and pick us up from school and things like that. But it wasn't very common. It was nine to
mm,
five. So I like being able to go snowboarding if it's snowed, or something like that. And so it's really nice to have that time off. Um, and then that curiosity in the job, that change in the digital world.
mm,
I think if I had been doing one thing like that didn't change as much as the internet changes, I would have not enjoyed it as much because it's always a
yeah.
challenge. You're always like, okay, what do I need to do next? How do I navigate this little part or problem or overcome this? It is a challenge. And I think
Mm,
you have to be a certain person, don't you, to
mm,
to
yeah.
um get through.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. Do you think, just want to briefly go back to traveling and being a digital nomad, do you think that's a path that people maybe starting businesses in their 20s, is that a path that you think is still viable and something that's worth doing? Hitting the road, taking a laptop with you, and whether that's doing freelance work or actually starting a business or a company. What's your thoughts on
Absolutely.
it now?
I mean, I think it's an incredible experience.
Mm,
But I think there are, just understand that you need to have the time to do the work. So don't travel
mm,
too quickly. Um, and be able to, yeah, I guess have boundaries. So you're separating work time from, the amazing people that you might meet out there. And you can't just go, oh, no, I'm not going to do the work and go off. You need to also, have that time, which again, you can be flexible, but it's it's tough. You have to manage your time really well.
mm,
So
mm.
yeah, but fun.
Yeah. So I think we're probably nearing the end, and I have 6 quick fire questions to ask you.
Oh, yeah.
But before I get there, I have 2 other questions that I'd like to just quickly touch upon. The first one is, what do you think websites look like in the future? And to frame it a bit more, there's a conversation around eventually will the smartphone kind of die out and everything goes into glasses, which is something that Meta's working on. They've got I think they teamed up with Ray-Ban with their glasses. Obviously, Apple has their sort of version as well. If we go into a glasses world, what does that mean, do you think, for like websites? If you just play with me a little bit on that.
I've already predicted this and I love it. So I reckon we'll have a chip in the brain. No, and you'll enter the internet however you see it. It's still like the net. It's still connecting us all. And websites will be literally like virtual shops, I think. So I think people will still want experience. So we've got to combine that experience with, shopping, or entertainment or whatever it is. So do we want to go into a virtual world with lots of different people as if we're going into a cinema, for example, and have that experience, do the watching? Do we want to walk down a virtual street and choose the shop that we want to go into, and then go into a website that way and like pick things up, move things around, talk to a person? So will we be, as business owners, selling, virtually, oh, welcome to our shop, but, me as a virtual person, and then having that connection, but in that virtual world. So yeah, there's so much to come. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, we may well all have chips in our brain as well if Neuralink kind of takes off and everyone gets. I think I would do that. I feel like
yeah. I mean, you and me would just like be right
we'll just
there.
be the only ones. I think it'd be super fun. I mean, I'm also that kind of person that goes, if I could put my consciousness into a robot. I had this conversation actually over Easter with my family. I think I would put my consciousness into a robot if it meant I could live to like 300 years old.
So see the whole timeline.
Yeah.
But
I feel like the next like 50 to 100 years will be super exciting.
They will. In the tech world, it's going to be incredible and I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
But what would really terrify me about that is a little bit like a vampire. What happens if you can never be killed?
Well, yeah, then it's like, yeah.
And then,
living forever.
Maybe the world has ended, but your chip, your
You're
consciousness is sort of floating at the bottom of the sea or something like that. That's what terrifies me.
Best not to go there, probably. Before I get into the quick fire questions, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you feel we should talk about?
Well, we have touched on it. I just wanted to touch on how supportive our network is, James, and how Sarah and Pete have made this incredible, beautiful network of people that we interact with daily, and it's how we grow our business. Yeah.
So the context, we are part of I guess it's their mastermind groups called Mastermind 9, which is a collection of 9 business owners in each group, where we come together each month and we essentially support each other, I guess would be the best way of describing it, and keep each other accountable.
It does sound like we're advertising this now,
I know.
but we're not. It's just that I think for business owners, having the support of other business owners, it's key. It's so valuable.
Well, because as you said, and I've said it as well to multiple people, like it is quite lonely. And even when I had my team, there were times when I felt lonely, not because I was on my own, but because they're there to do the jobs that they're there to do, and everything else is kind of on me. And there's some things that you don't want to talk to the team about because maybe you don't want to worry them if it's something, if you've got a cash flow challenge or or whatever it might be. So I think it's important to surround yourself with other people doing something somewhat similar so that you're all going through it in the same way.
It's tough at the top, James.
It is tough at the top.
But yeah, having those people in my Mastermind 9 groups that I realise a lot of them are bigger businesses, are running bigger businesses than mine, but I'm inspired by what they're doing. I understand the problems that they've had, and I realise that possibly the problem that I'm facing right now is going to pass. It's just that part of growth or something like that. So I manage it much better, and that for well-being is insanely good. Yeah.
And I think sometimes, like when you're going through a challenge, because it's the first time you've seen it, it can feel like a massive obstacle. And then if you speak to someone that's crossed that milestone a long, long time ago, it's barely even registers on their day.
Yeah.
But that almost gives you confidence to go, oh, okay, it's not as big of a deal as I thought it was. Yeah. It's maybe not pleasant, or I'm a little bit uncomfortable, but if it doesn't mean anything to this person, then it can't be as bad as I think it is.
And I think in those groups as well, because we all bring our challenges in, you often see the problems before you face them, or the challenges before you face them, because, someone else has had that challenge and you're like, right, that could happen. I can prepare for that. And I know how, to get through.
Yeah. I think that's a really good place to end before we get into the quick fire questions. But I just want to say thanks, Kelly, for speaking so openly with me, and just for sharing your journey and your insights into the world of web and tech. Really, I think we covered a lot of different things, which has been fascinating to talk to.
I love your setup, and this is like slow travel. It's a slow conversation, and therefore you don't have to get too much out too quickly, and it's really nice.
No.
You're good to talk to. Thank you, James.
Explorative.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I got 6 questions for you. They're quick fire, but they don't need to be one-word answers, but as short an answer as you can muster on each one. So the first one is, what is the most insightful conversation you've had recently, and why?
This is really lame, but I actually want to say with our team, because we had such a good team meeting, it ended up being insightful just for me to basically see the business from a different perspective. So, which is why our team was good.
Yeah, well, they bring different perspectives, don't they? We're only one person, so we always have our blinkers on, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Okay, number 2. What is one subject that you wish you knew more about?
Well-being. What we put inside ourselves, what we eat, nutrition, and training the body. Yeah.
What's got you interested in that?
Well, mindfulness for being able to lead a team, and debilitating diseases.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I'm interested to hear your question on this one, knowing that you've traveled a lot. What is one place that you visited that you'll never forget?
Oh my gosh, there's so many that I would never forget. I loved Portland, and I don't know why. It just touched me in this incredible way, because it's quite a creative city and really friendly people and diverse, and I just loved the place. So yeah, I'll never forget Portland.
Interesting. Question 4. Who is one person that they're alive? One person that you haven't met yet that you'd love to have a conversation with, and why? Can be anyone.
Susie Wolf.
Okay, say more.
I'm like, Susie Wolf, pick me. So she's an incredible leader. She is leading the women's Formula One team at the moment. She was a
Mm-hmm.
Formula One driver herself. And yes, is wife to the well-known Toto Wolff as well. And I would love to have a conversation with her.
What would you ask her?
Oh, what would I
Do you
ask her? I would want to know, what she's learnt in a business perspective with a career in a very male-dominated world.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I am, you know, I am a feminist, but not because I'm too leaning onto that side. But it's like it interests me how men and women work same and differently all at this, and
Mm-hmm.
so it would be really interesting to understand what she learned from all of that.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Okay, final two. When did you feel most vulnerable?
Oh, going traveling on my own, probably, and it's not just the traveling, it was driving a camper van as well. So
Mm-hmm.
you've got the responsibility for a vehicle as well as being on your own. So that was probably my most vulnerable time, but I survived.
Good. And you had a good time along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, final one. What is something that you've done that you're most proud of?
It's probably the business because it's tough. So yeah, I'm really proud to have started to build such an incredible team, and they are the business now. So yeah.
I love that. That's it. Thanks for joining me, Kelly. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah, I can't stop smiling. It's good.